Welcome to PolyCast, a Civilization podcast focused on game strategy.
CanusAlbinus,
Makahlua,
TheMeInTeam,
MegaBearsFan.
In that case, initiate the canons.
That's right. All right, then. Welcome to PolyCast episode 424. I'm TheMeInTeam. As usual, we are bringing you the strange meat, and I'm joined by CanusAlbinus.
Strange meat? What is
Makahlua?
strange meat?
Fallout 3 reference, because there's a nice little neighborhood where they had a lot of strange meat pies around.
And MegaBearsFan.
You don't want to know what the meat is. You really don't want to know.
Oh.
The best thing about this comment is that it can be whatever you want it to be. Whee! I actually had a different game in mind in making the reference, but whatever came to your mind, listeners, that is correct. It is what you make it to be. Sickos.
Oh dear.
And even that could go a few routes. Right, RimWorld players?
Oh no.
Oh god.
That
all the leather products, all the organ harvesting. Oh my gosh. War crimes.
It's a shame you can't really do organ harvesting without like specific traits for it on the highest difficulties, because it's just too big of a mood hit to absorb. It tempers the war crimes that your people actually feel bad about doing them. It's ridiculous. Changed a little bit with like the religion update, because you could get people who are like into that, but yeah.
It seems like RimWorld and like similar games like Dwarf Fortress, if you watch them on Steam, or not on Steam, on Twitch, you will find a lot of people who join the comment section and are immediately obsessed with killing elves and organ harvesting and cannibalism. Like, it's like the biggest microcosm of the most psychopathic people ever.
Now, to be fair, killing elves is a pretty big draw. I mean,
if they attack you, sure, but there's no
as
reason
a Dominions player, I can confidently say that the elves are always a risk to be attacking you. Screw that.
Is
And
Dominions...
in RimWorld,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and in RimWorld, you can play it normally and not eat people and things like that. You don't have to eat every raid that comes to you.
Yeah.
But for some
Make 'em
reason,
move it.
it's the most popular thing that everyone wants to see from the comment section, and it gives the game kind of a bad name.
War Crime Simulator 2023.
Around elves, watch yourselves.
I prefer Tolkien elves myself. Anyway, let's talk about music, because it was a slow news week this week. There was almost nothing published anywhere about Civ 5 or Civ 6 or Civ 7 that was of any relevance to what we would talk about. Because, there are some news sites that will write basically comment posts from a forum, but publish them as news items. Don't want to give that any credit. But the question is, which Civ has the best music in the more recent games, 5 or 6? Civ 5 or
Ooh.
Civ 6?
Controversial topic.
I guess you could also count Civ 4, because Civ 4 does have its own leitmotifs for civilizations, but I don't know about anything before that.
Well, Civ 4 also has Baba Yetu, which is the hands-down winner, so...
I mean...
Yeah, but I think the way this is worded, it looks like they mean like individual civilizations.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're talking about which factions Civs have the best music, not which game has the best music. But still, Baba Yetu's the winner.
Oh, Yetu's great. Terra Nova's great. But yeah, since they're not in contention, now we have something else to decide here.
Yeah, now it's actually a legitimate question.
I can't think of a main menu theme for Civ other than Beyond the Sword, which is bad, really.
Beyond Sword isn't really bad. It's just like lackluster.
Well,
Yeah, thank goodness Civ 4 had that option in the menus to go back to using like the vanilla or Warlords main menu, because honestly, who and actually liked looking at the Warlords or Beyond the Sword menu as opposed to just the classic vanilla games menu with, Baba Yetu playing in the background?
I used Warlords sometimes, just as a change up.
Warlords is great for when you feel like crumping orcs or whatever they call it in Warhammer.
Yeah, Warlords definitely had a mood about its
Yes.
main menu. That's for sure.
If you're ready to go smash some virtual faces, then go for that one.
Yeah, I think the Civ 6 menu music is like better than BTS, but it's like nowhere near like Baba Yaga or Terra Nova. Nowhere near.
Yeah, but I think I like the Civ 6 full soundtrack as a whole.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a lot.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's what brings us to this topic.
The fact that it wasn't made by the Czech Philharmonic Orchestra that doesn't allow it to be on YouTube also helps.
Yes.
I like my personal favorite civilization for Civ 5 is probably Greece, just because it's really understated and pretty. And it's actually the same song in Civ 6 as well, except they added something else to it to make it more boring. Like, it's the same song for the first half, and then the second half is some other song that I don't remember or recognize. Somebody say their next favorite for Civ 5, and then I'll do Civ 6.
Yeah, I was just trying to remember what mine were.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy for me to recall into memory.
Yeah, I don't recall, actually, honestly, any of the music from Civ 5.
Shaka.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Shaka is great, both peace and war in Civ 5.
Yeah. War is better.
Yes.
Just because of the emotions that come along with it.
Oh no, here we go again.
Well, I guess since we can't remember Civ 5, I'll give out some other good ones. The England War theme, which we use as our closing theme for the podcast, is pretty good.
I also really just like the arrangement in Civ 6 of Scarborough Fair, just their regular English music.
Yeah, while you're playing them.
See, when I hear that song, I don't think of Scarborough Fair. I think of the Christmas Carol that's based on it. I can't remember which one that is, but it's definitely the same as A Christmas Carol.
I think some of my other favorites is, and sometimes it's hard to remember which song is from which Civ, because usually I'm not playing as the Civ whose music I'm listening to, because usually I'm listening to the music of one of the other Civs in the game. But I think I remember really liking the Netherlands, especially when it gets into, I think, like the Renaissance or Industrial era.
Well, the music really takes off when it hits Industrial. I'm not a big fan of the Ancient Era soundtracks. I mean, they're okay, but they seem very... I guess it's because I don't particularly like single instrument songs, but Medieval is pretty good, Industrial is great, and Atomic is either really good or really bad, depending on how they do it. For instance, Zulu Atomic Era is not good because they auto-tuned it.
You get a single instrument song, it's just like the original Doom theme.
But I do think it's really appropriate how the American music gets really good in the Atomic Era.
Yeah,
we actually have like stuff to draw from then.
Well,
yeah, it starts throwing in a lot of like rock and roll motifs and stuff like that, or not necessarily rock and roll, but pop music motifs.
Rock and roll and pop and all the other stuff that you can hear, synthesizers and keyboards.
Even the Industrial Era, they start drawing like a lot of familiar stuff.
Industrial Era is really good classical style music.
Yeah.
And for America specifically, they chose a really good song that's not super patriotic, but also very evocative of the American spirit.
Yeah.
Because...
yeah, they definitely selected that well.
Let's be honest, we could use a little bit less blind patriotism in America.
These days, I don't know if that's still true.
Well, that's a PolyCast topic, but...
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, if you compare now to, like, 20 years ago, my gosh. It was, like, oppressive 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I guess relative to that, anything feels relatively normal.
Now, 20 years ago was a weird time.
To put it mildly, yes.
Yeah, in very many ways.
Other musical highlights in Civ 6 for me, I really like the Cree music.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the ones where the ancient era stuff actually is really good. Probably because it's, I mean, I don't know very much about, actual Cree music, but I would assume that the ancient era stuff is probably a little more authentic than the industrial and modern era arrangements. But I really do like the sound of the Cree music. And the other one that really surprised me was I really liked the Scottish music. And the reason it surprised me was because I don't normally like bagpipes. And I know, Canus, you have disagreed with me on that. But yeah, normally I don't like bagpipes, but I really like the Scottish theme in Civ 6, even though it is very bagpipe heavy.
Let's be clear. I do like bagpipes, but I don't blindly like bagpipe music. Some bagpipe music is terrible, but it's not terrible because of the bagpipes necessarily. You know how it is. Any instrument can sound good if you play it properly. I may not want to say
assuming
that.
It counts as an
there might be some people who use instruments that don't make any sense. I'm looking at you, dubstep, but...
I think the reverse is definitely true. You can take any instrument and play it sufficiently poorly that it doesn't sound good.
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking, what else is great music in Civ 6? There's so much of it. Like, even the ambient music that isn't connected specifically to any country is really good. The Mongolian music is great because of the throat singing. Like
that's always...
I don't think they could have more aptly described how Mongolia feels to be in. But I said that really. There's no better way to musically depict the Mongolian than to use a throat singing percussion type thing.
YouTube seems to agree.
The Australian music also has a very unique flair to it because I think they use the what's it called, the didgeridoo or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually find that one a little bit more annoying because it's so frequent when I play with them. But yeah.
Or you get the waltzing Matilda thing, which it's interesting how they change it in each era. Still waltzing Matilda, but then it just slowly ramps up, and the Maori music does the same thing. It has its own tune, and it's very simple in the beginning. It's not is it the classical? Is the first era? What
the first era first era is classical, but there's no music for classical. It goes ancient, medieval, industrial, atomic.
Whichever their first one is, and then it's like similar to what they do with waltzing Matilda. They slowly add things into it until when you get into the atomic, get up as you go up the eras, it just keeps getting more. That's the best way I know how to put it. It's just more, but it's good more.
One of the people in the thread writes, I hate the Maori music, which he's wrong about. I'm just chilling in the game when all of a sudden there's a bunch of guys shouting at me at the top of their lungs. But Hungary is the greatest of all time.
Yeah, the Maori music is also one of my favorites. I think I'll also throw in the Congolese music. I seem to remember really enjoying their soundtrack as well.
Yes, that's one that I can remember clearly.
But I mean, honestly, there's so much good stuff in here to choose from. Like, this is seriously like the best that the music in the Civilization game has, ever been. Like, overall,
I can't think of one that I would turn off if I heard it.
Yeah, I honestly can't think of one either. And like, this is a thing where like I've listened to the Civ 6 like music like in my car, like while driving. It's that good.
I have as well, actually.
I remember doing that with the Civ 4 soundtrack as well. Like 20 years ago. But I don't recall ever doing that with the Civ 5 soundtrack.
The only problem with the Civ 4 soundtrack is that it draws from that Chinese Nixon opera event thing that happened. What was it called? The People Are the Heroes Now. I mean, it's a nice sounding song, but I have issues with communism. So Poland from Civ 5 is apparently, according to the thread.
I don't remember it anymore.
I think we're out of this topic.
Yes, well, we have strategy wiki, sort of, or the now old Apocalypse game mode for Civ 6.
Specifically what this is it's the beginning of a series where we're going to look at the game modes individually and deep dive them for strategy. So there's two links. There's a link to the fandom page for the Civilization Wikia, and then there's a Steam guide, or Steam community guide there as well.
Bolt's chop. I don't know, man. Like, these things are saying like that domination's the hardest victory to win. Is that really true? Can't you win before the climate change goes completely out of control by just killing everyone?
Yes, but the trick is that Apocalypse mode has a lot of things that happen that will very quickly destroy your army for no apparent reason. And it's really easy to defend against a invading army if you don't chop your forests and let them die in the flames when they burn off again.
I remember seeing I think it was a Spiffing Brit video, where he like put in a mod that made the apocalypse mode like even more severe than it actually is.
Yes.
And the eventual winner of the game was an AI civ who only won a domination victory because every other civilization's capital got hit by like a meteorite and wiped off the planet. So that one civ who just happened to be the winner was just the last one who hadn't gotten their own capital wiped by a meteorite strike.
I mean, at that point, you're just rolling the dice generally, because not only are armies getting destroyed, cities are getting destroyed. So there's no victory condition that's really viable to get through your own choices if you put it to that level of extreme.
Well, yeah.
But if you don't, then you could probably avoid the most dangerous pitfalls and actually kill nations before the disasters get like completely out of hand.
They start out at the strongest level, and only later on, when environmentalism needs to be happening, is when things start getting super crazy. But I think the goal is to win before it gets to that point.
Yeah. Well, people are saying science is the easiest on the wiki, but like that actually requires getting into the end game one way or another. Now, if you're like just out racing the AI super hard and not polluting a ton, then yeah, maybe. But like if you're that far ahead, you could also like just run over everything in a couple turns with advanced military units they don't have too. So I don't know. It still seems pretty much a wash.
One of the important things to remember is that all of those disasters, the forest fires, the volcanic eruption, floods, they all improve tiles as they happen. So every time there's a forest fire that burns all those uncleared forest tiles, they gain 1 food and 1 production. Every time there's a flood, it does the same thing. And volcanic eruption does the same thing as well. So basically, you want to settle right next to things that will be affected by the weather, and you want to do your best to build cities in places where they will be less destructible.
Well, when you say right next to, like, do you actually mean like on the tile adjacent to, or like still with like a 1 tile buffer? Because if you settle like right next to like a volcano or a river that's going to flood, that's also going to do a lot of damage to the city itself, isn't it? And kill population.
Yeah, I think he means to not be in that zone. Yes.
Yeah, you don't
like next to that zone, not in it.
You don't want to be in a position where your city gets walloped by that.
Yeah, so you put your city close to those things such that they're within the city's workable radius, but don't put the city center, and probably also don't put any of your districts right on those tiles that you know are going to get hit by volcanic eruptions and floods and stuff like the predictable ones.
Unless you have that city governor, I think is Liang, who protects against environmental disasters.
True, yeah.
You can put one city right next to a volcano and put him there, and there will be no damage from volcanoes. But for every other city, you got to make sure that you don't get into the danger zone.
Yeah, at that point, you can go full-blown Dr. Evil and just build your city in the volcano.
Well, also remember that volcanoes have more than one range in higher levels of apocalypse mode, so 2 or 3 tiles might be necessary.
Oh, yes, that's true. It's funny that that climate change somehow triggers volcanic eruptions and meteor strikes, because that's not really how climate change works. But
the meteor will come say hi anytime it wants to.
I don't think in real physics soothsayers can cause these things either. I don't think we have to worry about the physics of how that works too much in this game mode.
Well, I guess they're changing the climate so hard, they're changing like the whole solar system's climate, I guess.
You might as well at this point. The whole purpose of this mode is to be over the top.
Well, yeah, it's not realistic. it's a weird mode.
Yeah, I get it.
So for districts, according to the Steam guide, you should want to build your districts on places that will not be attacked by these things. So marshlands work, desert tiles, snow tiles. It says floodplains, but I feel like floodplains would flood. Other choices include any high tile where there's a copper or a stone or a rice or a wheat or a maize bonus resource, which you would first harvest and then put the district under that spot. And the reason you can do that is because with the apocalypse mode, you don't need those bonus resources to get good yields because every disaster will increase all your yields. So
I do like your choice of words a little while ago when you said that the disasters will attack your districts. And it's very apt because with the disasters set really high, like the world itself really does feel like an antagonist.
yeah, the main thing you're fighting against is nature.
Yeah, it's almost akin to the early stages of Beyond Earth when you've got all the miasma and stuff, and the hostile aliens, and just surviving against the planet is way more of a challenge and takes way more of your thought and time than competing against any of the other civilizations. And this game mode is very similar in that sense.
For Vietnam,
but with less space aliens.
For Vietnam specifically, do not build your districts on woods as they will burn. Build them on marshes or isolated rainforest. It's a very good idea to chop any woods on a strategic resource, otherwise the fire will burn the improvement. If there are...
do the improvements not remove the underlying forests automatically?
I don't think they do.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think in Civ 6 they don't anymore.
Doesn't that depend on what we were talking about?
It might. I don't know specifically.
I don't think you can mine in the forest. Can you?
The guide says that you need to chop them, so I assume that it's possible.
I mean, there are other things that you can improve that do not require removing stuff.
Yeah, well, things like building a plantation on top of bananas does not remove the jungle. Right. So I know that. So yes, you can definitely build improvements on.
You hear that, Imagine? Get
features.
Prepped.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm trying to remember if I've ever had a mine that was on top of a forest or a jungle as well. Maybe I have, and you just don't pay attention.
In this game mode, you want to harvest the banana and the deer from the woods and rainforest. You don't need
because they're also they're probably just going to get destroyed in a disaster eventually anyway.
Yeah, you can't improve them, so you might as well harvest.
Yeah,
them.
You want to harvest everything relatively early because most of the bonus resources can be destroyed by severe disasters like fires and floods and volcanic eruptions. And you don't get any yield for that. So yeah. harvest them and take the yield.
Another later game thing you can do is rewild the territory or plant woods. You can create corridors to connect larger groups of contiguous forests. Although doing this, you must bear in mind that if woods and forest tiles are on fire, they will not burn rainforest in the same disaster. And similarly, if a rainforest catches on fire, it won't burn regular woods. So don't expect them to burn each other.
So can you just build a line of forest tiles right up to the enemy capital and then light it on fire and let nature run its course?
I don't think you can do that in enemy territory.
I chop your forest.
This is most relevant with Vietnam again, because at medieval fairs you can plant forests. To prevent losing units to the fires, micromanage your movement, one tile at a time. Never put your unit or end a turn next to a burning fire or in the hexes surrounding it.
Well, I think in general, don't walk into fires is pretty good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe if you're playing Baldur's Gate and you've got 125% fire resistance, then feel free, but generally, yeah.
Just general video game advice. Usually not a good idea to walk right into a fire.
I would extend this particular advice to IRL. You probably don't want to walk into fires.
It's true.
You'd probably find it pretty challenging to do willingly anyway, but even if you could somehow manage, I don't recommend.
Yeah, there's definitely better excuses that you can find to call off of work.
You might find it difficult to call anything after doing that.
It's important to remember that if you are using floods or storms, like the hurricanes, to increase your fertility, this will only work until phase 3 of climate change. Basically, after that point, it won't give you any fertility once you're at level 4. And then once you get to level 5, you can start getting desertification.
I would think that as far as victory types go, that culture would probably end up being the easiest, because I would think that as other players' cities and districts and stuff get destroyed by disasters, it would just make it easier for your culture to overwhelm them. But I don't see any mention of that in here. It's just hard to believe that science victory would be the easiest. That really does surprise me.
Yeah, I think you're asking for trouble there.
Well, if you don't have to, if you are To do a science victory, you don't have to worry about building an army to go and attack people in other parts of the world, so you're always on home field advantage there.
Yeah, you just have to, I guess, build all your spaceports in places where they are not going to be constantly, besieged by disasters.
But
and
you can have like the entire city get wiped.
If you place your city properly, it shouldn't be a problem unless it gets to level 7 of
That's true, I guess.
Environmental disasters. So
you just build an in-game version of Vegas, put your spaceport there.
Basically, yeah.
And tech fast enough relative to the AI.
I don't
feel
think
like if you can actually tech fast enough relative to the AI, then all the victory conditions are on the table.
the problem with the military is that once you get to the point where solar flares start affecting your units, really hard to do that. Also, if you're in the full-blown meteor mode, which cities you need to conquer will very quickly be shuffled because, oh, that city just got hit by an asteroid, and now I have to move to the other side of the map to kill somebody.
Just bomb the defenses down and take it anyway. Or use nukes. It's that kind of world, after all.
Beat the meteors to the punch.
Exactly. Might not be as strong as that meteor, but we can at least mimic it.
But I think it is plausible that domination would be the most difficult since you have to be in all of the map.
I think that depends on how quickly you can do it. Because if you can do it like before you're even into like industrial era units, then it probably isn't that much different than doing it normally. You just stay out of fires and like don't stand in volcano range and stuff, and you'll probably be okay. Maybe you'll get screwed now and then on RNG, but
well, there's also the snowstorms and the sandstorms and all that stuff.
Does all that really kill your stuff in like one turn though?
Not usually, but it'll do 50 plus damage.
Yeah, but like you can, it sucks, right? It's annoying. I certainly wouldn't enjoy playing in the mode that way, but like you can play around that and conquer the AI generally.
Yeah, but it would definitely be more advantageous to be on a map that allows you to kill everyone early, if that's the way you want to go.
Plus, it would suppress the pollution.
Yeah, it would keep you from getting to the point where units cause pollution every turn.
Yeah, well, and there would be fewer AIs to produce that. But yeah, I mean, generally, that's still going to be the hardest, just because if you can do that, you can do anything else too. It's not hard to win a game if there's nobody else playing it.
Chances are the AI will attempt to build dams and stuff to prevent flooding and try to mitigate everything they can without the advanced knowledge of, hey, our tiles get really good if we let them flood.
And I was actually thinking earlier when you mentioned that you were confused by the fact that they mentioned that floodplains are a good place to build districts. I was actually thinking, well, at least in a floodplain, you can build a dam and prevent the districts from being damaged or destroyed by flooding on that river.
But that gets rid of the tile boosts.
I don't think it does. I think you still get... It might be a minor boost. Maybe you only get like a food instead of a food in a production.
Oh, that's horrible, though. The production's amazing.
I could be wrong, but I thought I remembered that the dams prevent the negative effects, but still give you at least some of the positive effects. We can go to the wiki and look it up. Yeah, the dam only reduces the yields from floods by 50%. So you still do get something, but it completely prevents the damage to the districts and improvements.
One thing to be wary of, if you're using soothsayers to increase your yields by creating disasters, bear in mind that does cause CO2 pollution.
Oh, these are things I didn't realize about dams too. Apparently the dam also prevents food loss during droughts, and they act as a bridge over the river, if there wasn't already one.
Oh, and let's not forget the Appease the Gods competition that happens during this, which is a World Congress thing that happens outside the World Congress, but it uses the same interface. And the idea is you have to sacrifice as military units in active volcano using suits. And I believe that doing so gives you something. Not sure what it gives. It doesn't say here in the guide. As you can tell, I have not played this much. I don't think any of us have.
No, not my cup of tea. But I understand how some people would enjoy it. It's just not. It's not for me.
Yeah, I prefer the more historically grounded scenarios. Or
I just like having
modes.
more agency over outcome than
Have we talked
stuff
about
like this.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, there's just some days you want to go into SIP and burn everything.
Well, you can do that anyway.
Speaking
Well,
of
yeah,
burning
it's like
everything,
extra.
has anyone ever experienced a solar flare disaster?
I think that's only in the apocalypse mode. I don't think that can happen in the regular game mode.
Yeah, I did not realize that this happens, but it's a global disaster that hits every tile at the same time. It has a 70% chance to damage or a 30% chance to outright destroy advanced units that are in the later eras. For instance, giant death robots, rock bands, aircraft carriers, destroyers, battleships, submarines.
Yeah, because they're all full of a bunch of electronic equipment.
Yeah, mech infantry, machine guns, helicopters, rocket artillery, modern armor, jet bombers, and jet fighters. Similarly, late game improvements that are power related have a 70% chance to be pillaged or 30% destroyed. So solar farms, wind farms, offshore wind farms, geothermal plants, and beds. There's a 50% chance that all campuses, industrial zones, aerodromes, and space ports destroyed. There's a chance to pillage.
Destroyed or pillaged?
Pillage, excuse me. There's a pillage chance and destruction chance for all types of power plants, and can pillage or destroy all power related.
I'd have to imagine there should be some tech that would allow you to remove the destruction chance and maybe even the pillage chance eventually.
There's not.
Yeah.
There's not one in real life. Let's put it that.
I was gonna say.
Well, I mean, we can make stuff more resistant to a solar flare, such that the infrastructure probably won't be destroyed right now, and it's costly, but you could do it. It doesn't mean it wouldn't take some damage, but like outright destruction to the point where it's unsalvageable, I don't know about that. I think it is within our current tech to prevent that with most of the infrastructure we're talking about.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll know if it happens.
Things I don't want to find out in real life.
But our best estimate is that some infrastructure would survive even presently. So anything that's like specifically fortified for it would probably be okay.
Or at least repairable, simply.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all the physical structure would remain. It would just be all the electronic components that would be fried. So you'd have to just be replacing, all the motherboards and stuff like that. Like if you build
unless they're shielded sufficiently, which is an estimate as to what's sufficient shielding.
Yeah, like your power plant isn't just going to completely burn to the ground. Like the power plant would still be there. It would just be all the electric components that generate and transmit the power would just be fried and have to be replaced, which would still be expensive to do. And in the meantime, you've got no power.
Down when the electronics explode, though.
Yeah, that's true too. The destruction of the electronic components could start a fire, which could potentially burn the actual structure down.
Like, I would imagine power plants would be the least likely for that to burn down, but anything that has a computer in it might set a house on fire.
Maybe. Do we know exactly what that looks like in terms of these things being destroyed?
No, because the last big one was in 1859.
Yeah, I was going to say. So,
and when that happened, it produced...
It might not actually, be burning or, setting these things on fire, as opposed to just, rendering them inoperable, which would still suck really badly, don't get me wrong, but... it's a different failure mode then, with different problems to address.
Based on what I know about the Carrington event, which is what we're talking about, they were running long-distance telegraph wires without being connected to the battery, and were able to communicate with each other. So that level of current and electricity sounds scary. But we should be talking about Civ. So yeah, Apocalypse mode sounds like it would be fun now that I know how to play it better. I might try it this next time I play the game.
Just kill everybody. That's how you play Civ.
It would almost need to be that way because the other ways to win would be too late in the game to guarantee that there would not be a climate catastrophe.
Unless you just tech race. Outrace the AI by so much. An option too.
Or you have what happened with Spiffing Brit's video where his cities all got hit by meteors and such.
Well, he didn't win that one though.
I know. That's why.
And also, that was using a mod that made the disasters 10 times worse than they are in the normal game. So if you're just playing regular apocalypse mode, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, all your cities no, but there's a decent chance that some of your bigger industrial cities or something could get taken out.
Yeah, I mean, heck, even your capital could get hit and wiped in this mode.
And
and I think isn't that the only way to destroy a capital in Civ 6? Because I don't think you can raise capitals in Civ 6.
I believe city-states can raise them.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. Because the first game of Civ I played on a huge map, I could not find Spain no matter how hard I tried. And then I found out later, there's a city-state that raised them.
No, I've never seen that happen. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
That was back in 2016, so it may have been changed since then. But...
I don't know. Sounds like a feature to me.
New topic.
Don't make me want to have a burger today. Anyway, well, over on the Civ Reddit, how often do you build a preserve when you're not playing specifically the Inca or Bull Moose Teddy?
Build a what?
Preserve.
Yeah. What?
Forest preserve. Yeah, exactly. That's why 421 people in this poll out of 680 are like almost never. It's like, yeah, I think of it occasionally, but unless you have a specific reason, you've got so many other things you need to be building.
The funny way to spell encampment.
I still, to this day, do not know what the point of a preserve.
Preserves things.
I always try to look for places to put preserves in national parks, but I usually end up putting something else in a place where a preserve would possibly go.
Let's look up and see what a preserve actually does.
It does have pretty good yields.
It grants up to 3 housing based on the tile's appeal. It gives +1 appeal to adjacent tiles. It gives a culture bomb on adjacent unowned tiles, and cannot be built next to a city center.
But then the buildings themselves give some pretty good yields. So the first building is the Grove, which gives food and faith to all adjacent unimproved tiles with charming appeal or better. And that yield increases to 2 food, 2 faith, and 2 culture with breathtaking appeal.
Yeah, in the thread, who is this? Shingami Kenji, they're saying that wherever I go for the cultural victory with whenever they're going for a cultural, that's weird. Anyway, when they're trying to use national parks as part of a cultural victory, they do that because it's going to be unimproved land for the national park. But if you put the preserve next to it, at least you're getting some good yields back out of it.
Yeah, the thing is, of course, you have to plan that out like right from the start of the game, because if you put anything else that's not removable, you can put improvements there. But if you put a district in any of those places where the national park would go, you're never going to be able to build a national park. And then also the second building for the preserve is the Sanctuary, which basically does the same thing as the Grove, but for science, gold, and production.
Yeah.
And this is to all adjacent terrain or tiles, so that's potentially quite a lot of yield. And also if you put it next to like a volcano or something, right, when the volcano erupts, well, you don't put the preserve like adjacent to the volcano, but like maybe 1 tile buffer between them, then those tiles that are directly between the preserve and the volcano would then be further buffed by the extra yields from the eruption. So doing stuff like that can actually provide a lot of yield. Like I've done stuff like that before, and just like you can't even see the tile underneath all of the yield icons.
And it was also pointed out in the thread that the preserves have a really good synergy to Australia because of the appeal boost.
Yeah, any civ that has powers based on tile appeal, it's a good idea to build some preserves. And as you were saying before, they also work very well in conjunction with national parks. So you would build a preserve adjacent to tiles where a national park would be, assuming that it's not going to be a mountain tile, because those don't give you any yields anyway. But any non-mountain tile that is going to have a national park on it, you're going to get bonus tourism from the national park, and then also a bunch of extra yields from the preserve.
Today I learned that it might be...
I remember always wishing that you could build a national park over a preserve, because like that's the one district that actually makes sense to have a national park, to be part of a national park. Like, in fact, it almost seems like the national park should be an upgrade to the preserve.
Maybe make it the 3rd building?
Yeah, or something like that.
I don't know.
But I think, like, thematically speaking, the if I remember correctly, like, the flavor text for the preserves describe them as being, like, things along the lines of, you think of, like, medieval kings would have, like, their, like, preserve forests where they would go on their hunting trips.
Yeah, royal land.
Yeah, like I think that's how it's described in the game's flavor text. So
that makes sense. I can agree with that.
I guess the modern equivalent is like in the UK they have what's an area of natural beauty. These areas that are preserved, you can't build in here or build very little in here, so you still have some of what the country looked like before it got all industrialized.
Yeah, well, in the United States, we also have multiple tiers of that stuff. Like, there's the national parks at the top, but then below that, there's also like state parks, and then there's national conservation areas, which would, I think, be the equivalent to the British one that you were talking about. And then there's also national monuments, which can also, I believe, be like natural sites. Like, they don't have to be man-made constructions. So yeah, there's several tiers of that sort of thing in real life as well.
I live within 2 miles of a state park, and it is nothing but forest and a lake and a buffalo pen.
Like, I should know where the preserve is. I think I live in a preserve tile because there's a preserve that's not too far from me.
Yeah, I mean, living in Las Vegas, we're completely surrounded by them. I mean, Red Rock is a natural conservation area. Like Lake Mead and the Hoover Dam are a conservation area, and also possibly a national monument.
Out west, there's a lot more of them. Or out east.
Yeah, well, it's at the time that the ideas of national parks were created, so much of the East Coast was already inhabited and settled and industrialized, and the western half of the country or continent wasn't. So there was just a lot more open, pristine land with which to create those conservation areas.
I don't know about that. There's a lot of, even today, pristine land in the Appalachians.
Yeah, I was going to say the national park thing also gave them the tools to where there was still free land like Appalachian mountains and stuff to preserve that now before people did start building on it. Because,
and also, even just having a national park doesn't mean you're not going to have human development there too. Like, you go to like Yellowstone, like there's an entire little village, in the national park with shops and restaurants and hotels and stuff. So there, you can still do development inside of them. It's just restricted.
Well, yeah, there's a new national park up by the dunes in Indiana that's right between Gary and Mishawaka. So yeah, it's not particularly pretty, but it's a park.
Sorry, Mackie, I think I might have cut you off. Were you still saying something?
Well, in terms, that's what I meant about the restricted development. They can't just go wholesale and throw subdivisions down into a national park. They have to go through a whole series of applications and all this and point out why do we even need this here? So that does help slow down the urban sprawl creep nationwide.
You need arcologies.
We're so good in SimCity 2000.
Yes.
But I guess
so were hydroelectric dams. So hey.
But I guess long story short is, yes, I have built a few preserves. I can't even begin to guess what the percentage is. Maybe 25% of the games I've played since they were added to the game. Maybe I've built one. I've only built a few.
Apparently, they also go well with Petra desert cities and St. Basil's tundra cities.
Oh yeah, for sure. Any of those wonders that are gonna buff like tiles, assuming that they have the appeal, because a desert tile, I think, is going to be a lot harder to get up to charming or breathtaking appeal, even with the +1 modifier from the preserve. Because I think they start it with like negative appeal.
They get better as time goes on, though. I think I want to say that rainforests start out as very unappealing and then become very appealing later in the game as ideas change. I don't know if that's actually a function.
I don't know. I remember proposing early on in Civ 6's life that I think you should be able to build national parks on very unappealing tiles as well, because like a rainforest would be a place that would want to be preserved.
Well,
both extremes should be equally viable as national parks. Like, again, a real world example that's close to home is like Death Valley, National Park, and Valley of Fire, I think, is a national conservation area. Like, not very appealing places to live when it's 130 degrees during the summer, but definitely a place that does have some natural beauty and is, definitely a unique habitat to visit. Just don't go hiking in the middle of the summer without water like so many European tourists do. Apparently that's a big issue at Death Valley and Valley of Fire. Is you get European tourists who don't understand what a dry heat is, and they go on hikes when it's 130 degrees and what feels like negative 50% relative humidity, and they don't bring sufficient water.
Bad idea.
Yeah, very
it's
bad
not gonna
idea.
end well.
They've been to a dryish part in Spain and they think, oh, it's going to be like that. I'll be fine. No, Death Valley is something entirely different.
Yeah, they go to someplace in Europe where it's still like 30 or 40% relative humidity, and they think, oh, this is a dry heat. This must be what Nevada feels like. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I was out there once. It definitely felt different.
And especially, what is definitely worth seeing if you're able to is when we do have the very wet winters and springs, which we actually just had this past year. So much rainfall. It was crazy ridiculous. Like we were in June and it felt like March still. It was crazy ridiculous. But anyway, when we get all of that that rain like that, all of the desert wildflowers sprout up and they all bloom like at the same time, and it really is gorgeous.
Yeah, they're
definitely.
Doesn't desert fauna or flora basically bloom when it rains?
Yeah, it does. But when you have the really long sustained rains, like what we had this year, like it's not just in patches. It's like literally the entire ground is just, as far as the eye can see, just desert wildflowers.
I've been to the Sonora Desert and it looks very beautiful even without the flowers, though. People think deserts are ugly. They're not.
I mean, it depends on why you're there and what you're doing. Again, if you're out there on a hike with no water and it's 120, 130 degrees, it definitely doesn't look pretty. But when you know what you're doing and you're safe and keeping yourself comfortable, they can be. There's definitely beauty in almost any natural habitat.
I don't know. Urban Chicago might not be so attractive.
Natural
That's
habitat,
not a natural
urban
habitat,
Chicago. Highly natural.
I mean, it's a habitat, but it's not necessarily natural.
Right.
I guess it just depends on what you define as natural.
It's natural to turn the river green?
It's quite a liberal definition of natural, though.
On that kind of topic, though, I was recently reading a column in a Scientific American magazine from someone who is advocating that there should be more study of urban wildlife because they actually do behave considerably different than natural, rural and wildlife. Seems redundant. And some studies suggest that they actually get considerably smarter.
Oh, yeah.
They certainly are adaptive. Humans, I don't know if their intelligence actually improves, but their knowledge of the environment does.
Well, we ran through that hour fairly quickly.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, apparently so.
Mackie?
Extending the awkward silence. It will not end.
Sorry, I had, while we were in the middle, eye drops, okay? I wasn't looking, eye drops.
It's okay.
Anyway, this has been PolyCast episode 424. I'm Makahlua, who really needed some eye drops, and with me, CanusAlbinus.
I think I need an air filter for Canadian Coke.
Yeah, TheMeInTeam.
Why have eye drops when you can have nuke drops?
Those aren't going to re-moisturize my eyes. I'm MegaBearsFan.
I'm actually awake this week.
Yay!
I think the resulting Fallout transformation, you won't need to re-moisturize your eyes anymore.
I won't have any eyes anymore.
That's true. It's not incompatible with what I said.
Oh dear. Which Fallout creature are you going to become, Mackie?
Oh no, I'm just going to be one of the skeletons that didn't get to safety, probably.
Well, it's
That's
Fallout.
no fun.
It's Fallout, so if you didn't get to safety, maybe it means you turned into a skeleton, maybe it means you turned into something else. We don't really know, because Fallout doesn't follow natural law.
Doesn't seem to follow any coherent law. That's what makes it fun.
I think it
The law of
follows
cool.
pretty much the rule of cool. Civilization 3, 4, 5, Beyond Earth, and 6 sound clips. Copyright Take-Two Interactive. Copyright the Polycast at thepolycast.net.